So we're back from our 7-week total immersion Italian program at the Middlebury College Summer Language Program, and we can't wait to tell you all about it.
I'm Ed, she's Ann, and welcome to our Big Italian Adventure, where we show you all things Italy as seen through our eyes.
In our last video, which you can see linked up here above, we gave you an inside look at the program. Not only the academics, but also the whole experience of going back to college after almost 50 years.
Today we're going to give you an unvarnished view of the program and answer the two questions that everybody is asking us.
Are we fluent yet? Or more realistically, can we speak a whole lot better?
Second, was it worth the time and the money to do this program?
Let me frame the second question with a couple of numbers. First off, we gave up our usual summer in Italy because the Middlebury program is like 7 weeks that runs from June 30th until the middle of August. So that was our summer shot. Then in terms of the money, well, we spent a bundle. The cost last year per person was over $11,000. A lot of dough. A lot of dough.
Now, there are scholarships available. But unfortunately, we didn't qualify for any of them, and we had to foot the entire bill. Most of those scholarships are aimed at current college students.
So why were we even considering a total immersion Italian program? Well, obviously, it's because we love Italy. In fact, we have a little house in the Italian countryside where we like to spend at least part of our year. And we've been trying to learn Italian mostly on our own for a few years, and we decided it was time to just level it up and get really good at conversational Italian.
So of course, when you're going to learn Italian, you go to Vermont. People are always asking us, why did we go to Italy for this program? And the reason is that Middlebury has a stellar reputation for teaching languages. And based on our research, it was actually more effective to do a program there than it was to do an immersion program in Italy.
The problem with an immersion program in Italy, let's say you're in Florence, for example, and you go to school from 9 in the morning until maybe 1 in the afternoon. And you speak Italian the whole time you're there, and that's fine. But then once you leave school and you join your friends at the local restaurant or the local bar, well, you're back to speaking English for the rest of the night. And so it's not really total immersion.
Whereas, as we said in our last video, the Middlebury what really is, you are talking Italian from when you get up until you go to sleep, and you're probably doing some of it while you're dreaming.
So what was this total immersion program supposed to accomplish? Well, the website, Middlebury's website, indicates that you will improve your Italian by 1 full year of intensive undergraduate study. So that's a lot.
And a lot of the reason that you're able to do that is based on the famous language pledge that you make that you'll only speak Italian. That's really known as the cornerstone of the Middlebury program.
So both of us went into the program with a good foundation of Italian. We both know a lot of grammar, we've got a good vocabulary, we can understand pretty much anything that's said to us as long as it's at a reasonable speed. The one thing that we both lack, me in particular, was fluidity in conversation and the ability to come up with complex grammatical constructions easily while in the midst of a conversation.
Just one example of this fluidity that we're looking for. If I wanted to say something like, if I had known you were going to the store, I would have asked you to buy some avocados. That's the kind of sentence that we need some thinking about rather than it just flowing out. It's a construction called the third conditional in grammar, and in Italian, there are very strict rules about how you put that sentence together.
So I understand the whys and the hows of this construction. The problem is being able to come up with it quickly. For example, to be able to say, se avessi saputo che andassi al supermercato, ti avrei chiesto di comprare degli avocado.
Brava.
Not so brava, but anyway. That's hard to think of in the moment.
We felt that if we had practice using this sort of construction, our fluidity, our confidence would really be improved. So we were looking very much forward to this program.
So, on to our evaluation of our summer language course. And before we get started, I think it's important to point out that Ed and I were both in the advanced level, or level 3. So that's really the only level of the course that we can speak to. And there were 3 other levels below us. So we can't really speak in any detail to those, other than the fact that we can make some observations based on our interactions with the students from those levels.
Mm-hmm. And why don't you lead off talking about the many good points of the program?
Well, okay. I should start off with the teachers and staff, who were truly wonderful. They were well qualified, they were supportive and helpful, and they were all native Italian speakers. In particular, we really liked our main teacher, who was a very experienced professor from Torino, and he's been teaching at this program for many years and was excellent.
Another big element that we liked were the other students. I think they really made this summer fun for us, separate from the whole language learning experience. It was a very eclectic group from about 19 or 20 up till about 70. And everybody was very supportive of each other, and it was really a nice community atmosphere. There were also a lot of extracurricular activities related to Italian for us to do, and we tried to take advantage of all of them. There were films that we thought were very interesting.
Some of which we never would have found on our own.
Operatic concerts that we never would have gone to. Trivia games, karaoke, some cooking classes, some painting classes. Overall, sort of a full immersion Italian experience.
There were also a number of lectures throughout the summer, some of which were really interesting, others of which not so much. They were way too academic and probably geared more to the graduate students than the rest of us slobs. Another strong point about the program, and one that really surprised us, was the food. The options were interesting and fairly broad. And there were always options for vegetarians or vegans or people with other dietary restrictions. And importantly, there was unlimited ice cream. The freezer was always stocked with about 6 or 7 flavors from a local dairy, and we longingly refer to it as gelato. Well, you can wish.
Some elements of the level 3 academic program were excellent. Each week we had to write a 500-word paper, and while that took some time, it was a really valuable thing to do. Another really useful activity was making presentations in class, where you needed to get up there and create that language sort of on the spot to make your points understood.
So even though I really hated preparing them and doing them, because I'm not a fan of public speaking, I found it really useful, and I actually wish that we had had to do more of that.
Another really valuable part of the curriculum was the focus on modern Italian culture. We watched a 6-part TV series called La Meglio Gioventù that followed 2 brothers and their family over about 50 years at the end of the 20th century. And during that time, Italy went through a lot of changes, starting with the flood in Florence in 1966 and going through the uprisings in the late 70s. And you got a really good feel for some of these elements that are important in Italian culture that we really weren't aware of over here in America.
And of course, the language pledge we really appreciated. The fact that we were forced to speak Italian 24/7 was really an important aspect of the program.
On the other hand, there were some aspects of the program that we weren't as happy with.
I would say the biggest one was that the curriculum for level 3 did not focus enough on conversational Italian. We had about 3.5 hours of class time a day, and only about 50 minutes of that was focused on conversational Italian.
Which really isn't enough to improve your speaking, which really was our only goal.
Right. The rest of the time was spent, passively sitting while our professor lectured to us about medieval history, medieval poetry, And grammar. The grammar, that was helpful, but I don't think that we got enough chance to use the grammar, practice the grammar that we were learning. So we understood it, but then we didn't have a structured way to practice it.
And that material was very interesting, but it wasn't really going after the goal that we had to improve our speaking. If we had understood this focus of the program on more academic and less on speaking, we probably would not have signed up for it. And there's a third conditional, by the way.
I will say that this was a problem that was unique to level 3 or unique to the advanced level. The other levels, the beginner and intermediate groups, they did not focus on history or medieval poetry. They really focused their day learning modern culture, everyday language, role-playing everyday situations. So it was much more pragmatic, practical use of the Italian language than what we were doing, which was more geared to a college curriculum.
Second, our class had 16 students in it, which was really too big for what we were trying to accomplish. Probably half that many would have been a more appropriate number to do the things we wanted to do.
Yeah, and we had been led to expect that the class size would be between 8 and 12 people. And in fact, most of the other levels did have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people in it. It's just, I guess everybody kept wanting to migrate up to the advanced level as the summer went on.
So, what's the bottom line on the Middlebury Italian language program? Is it thumbs up or thumbs down?
So we found the program to be both interesting and enjoyable. We really, really liked the teachers and the other students, but neither of us felt that we improved our ability to speak the language significantly, and that was a huge disappointment.
The course could have been so much better if the class hadn't been so big and had been more manageable. And if we'd had more time to practice in conversation the grammar points that we were learning and do some role-playing of real-life experiences.
Yeah, true. But surely you're thinking, well, what about that language pledge? I mean, if you had to speak Italian 24/7, surely you would have improved your Italian significantly. Well, I will say that the people in the other levels, the lower levels, who had a steeper learning curve, they did seem to improve significantly. There were people, I mean, for example, who started the program not knowing one word of Italian, and by the end of the program could carry on a pretty decent conversation.
In fact, there was one student, in fact, a priest, who started from zero, knew no Italian at all. And at the end of the summer in the talent show, he got up and told a joke very well, very easy to understand, and did a really great job. And in other conversations, he really could speak Italian.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in our case, we found that the types of conversations that we were having outside of class were sort of by necessity kind of superficial, either because of time constraints or because we were sitting in a group of people of mixed levels. So we were eating with people who were beginners in Italian. And so the conversation tended to be geared to the lowest common denominator, which meant that for us, we weren't able to improve as significantly as we would have liked.
And the teachers would sit with you, but they would rarely correct you, I think, to not interrupt the flow of the conversation.
Right. Or kind of make you self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, to answer the two questions we asked at the start, was it effective in improving our ability to speak Italian?
And I think we both would say only marginally, and certainly less than we expected.
Second, was it worth it? Was it worth the 7 weeks and the nearly $23,000 that between us we spent?
Nope, unfortunately not. As much as we liked the program, as much as we enjoyed it, I think we would have made a lot more progress with our Italian if we had just simply hired online tutors every day for 7 weeks. And it would have been a lot cheaper.
We should add that this evaluation is not just coming from us, but we polled the other students who were retired and were working on their language ability, and they had similar reactions, and we had some ideas for improvement that we have shared with the school.
Yeah, we actually, they gave us all a survey to fill out at the end of the course. And so we do know for a fact that a number of the other students in our class gave them the same feedback that they're talking about right now. In fact, Ed's final paper, he wrote it all about the weaknesses of the program and his suggestions for improvement. So we'll see if they do anything with that.
To be fair, I would say it was an evaluation of the program that included some good points.
Oh, yeah.
But certainly did focus on places where we thought we, meaning me and the other students like us, could improve it. I wrote it in Italian, of course, for the class, and then they asked me to translate it back into English to send to the school, which was sort of an interesting activity for me to do.
So we'll see what they do with it. But I would say if you are considering going to Middlebury's language school, and particularly if you are at a more advanced level and you are interested primarily in improving your conversational ability, I would ask a lot of questions that really get at that issue. They do a number of information sessions by Zoom prior to you applying and prior to going to school. And so you have the ability to sort of get down to the nitty-gritty and ask them a lot of questions about how the curriculum is structured to see if it's really what you're looking for.
Right, if it's really right for you. So that's it. I hope that this has been a valuable session for you and enjoyable. If it was, please give us a like and consider subscribing. And certainly if you have questions about the program and the things we've talked about, put them in the comments.
Because we'd be happy to answer any questions you have or carry on this conversation and give you some more texture around the whole program.
Mm-hmm.
So, ciao for now.
A presto.